Okay, now are we working? Hello, everyone. Just testing a few things to make sure we're up and working now. Hello, yes, we're up and working. Well, hello, how are you today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, if you first don't succeed, it's okay. Let it roll off your shoulders, let it roll away, and try again. Apparently, Facebook deleted my live since I wasn't able to get on within the first 10 minutes. So I had to go back and refigure everything and put it back up through StreamYard. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Take a deep breath and come on in, come on in. For those of you that are new to me, hello, I'm Tammy Lee. I am an accelerated intuitive and way shower, helping to guide and be a bridge for others to connect to that internal self. So much of what we hide from, to uncover and rediscover, remember who we are at within our essence, at our spirit self, our soul levels, and healing those different pieces of us that have been fragmented off. Like today, when I was doing some work this morning, there was a little 2-year-old that showed up that was, you know, how when you're a little girl or a little one and you're kind of like hide behind the leg of your parent or maybe another adult, or you hide behind a chair, you know, you peek around the corner. That's what I had come up this morning as I did my own inner work. That this little piece of me was scared and was looking around the corner. This fragmented piece of me came to me as a little girl about the age of 2 years old. Those are things I help people with as an example. So today, I wanted to talk to you about the different ways that we can hold ourselves hostage. Hold ourselves hostage. Nobody else is doing that. We're doing that to ourselves, with ourselves. So as you join in, let me know if you can hear me. Go ahead and type in the text chat. And remember, there's a little says I'm going live via StreamYard. And if you want me to see your name, because I'm in the studio within StreamYard, and as you make comments, for me to be able to say your name, you need to click on that link, giving StreamYard permission to show me your name. So my apologies for being very late, and just my apologies. No excuses, right? My apologies. Yet when we believe that everything is in the right timing, the divine timing, I believe in sacred timing, and that's one of the things that has kept me sane. That's one of the things that has kept me sane, is believing in sacred timing. Because I will tell you, there are times, and how many of you have done this, that you plan something and you want it to happen a certain time, yet it never does. No matter how much, I'm like, I prepared for this like 30 minutes before I was supposed to go live, and then 15 minutes before, and then all of a sudden things weren't working right, or you having a phone call that extends beyond what you want it to, and you're like, oh, I got to get off, but you know you're right in the middle of something deep, and you don't want to leave that person hanging. How many times has something like that happened to you, which makes you late for something else? And that's why I say all in divine timing. All in divine timing. And when we have that belief, when we actually allow the divinity, the sacredness to work with us, life can be so much easier. Case in point. So, how do we keep ourselves hostage? How do we keep ourselves in bondage? I think, and I feel, and I've experienced this because I'm not speaking our truth. I'm not being present with the other person so they can speak their truth to us. And so they know we've heard them. So they know we've actually seen them. I see you. I see you. I see you. When with that, I hear you. Maybe you can even hear the different emotions through the sentences, even through the words that you can pick up and like, oh, let's go back and revisit that. There was some, you didn't really speak your full truth. So, and this is a practice. This is a practice. So for the first time in my 59 years, actually, I had a talk with my 80-year-old father. For the first time, I really felt he heard me just 3 months ago. Just 3 months ago. And that saying that people say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I don't believe that. I have proven that wrong time and time again in my life. And granted, it's heart-wrenching sometimes that it takes monumental life happenings to create those circumstances. However, when we don't get so involved in that, and when we allow whatever happens around us to help create, to make that shift happen within us, and we start to speak truth, and you never know when that person that's been so aloof or doesn't want to go there because something you want to share is deep and strong, and especially with a parent. I had a deep conversation with my father on his 80th birthday, and it shifted things. There was so much healing that happened that opened us both up to new possibilities. Now, my father, okay, so I'm 59. I have 5 children. I have 13 grandchildren. My dad has another family, and his children are the same age as my grandchildren. Now, when all this took place, 18, 19, 20 years ago, it really, it shook me. It shook me to the core, and I thought I had to be the one to make everything right. I took that upon myself to make everything right, to make sure his kids felt like they were part of a family. And then but I had to get counseling around this. It shook me so much, and I felt so much pressure that when I went to counseling about this, the counselor looked right at me. Oh, excuse me for a minute. So when I went, okay, so 20 years ago, let's just say it's 20, and my dad starts having his second family, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to even feel about that. I don't know, because I starting to have grandkids, and I kid you not, it was embarrassing, not just for me, for my own children, his grandchildren, and there was a lot of um disheartening feelings. So that's 20 years ago. And then 20 years later, where are we at? And my dad and I talked about this. Finally, for the first time in 20 years. But he's matured a little bit. And he was willing to hear me for the first time. And me being very honest, not caring about how I shared with him. Because it's none of my business what other people think about me. It's none of my business if I speak my truth, that truth can even hurt somebody. And I'm not saying that we deliberately do that, because let's face it, everybody, sometimes truth just hurts, especially when we're not willing to look at it. Not that we have to accept it, but can we look at truth when somebody is attempting to share truth with us? Can you look at truth? Are you willing to look at a truth? And it might not even be your truth, but it's a truth of another person when they want to bring it forth. Are you willing to hear a truth? Because sometimes that person just needs to be heard. It's their truth. So I'm sharing my truth with my dad, and we're sitting outside his house. And this is April 30th, his 80th birthday. And my half brother, Ethan, which is a senior and he's about ready to graduate. And I roll down the window and I'm like joking around, like, hey, bro, what's going on? And so we start conversing, and then he went on his way. And my dad's just like in awe watching this. And I roll up the window, and my dad, well, wow, Tammy, that was cool. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he was shocked that me and Ethan were having, my brother, Ethan, we were having such a cool conversation and joking around with each other. And he said, well, the kids, so he's got 2 boys and a girl that are his other family. I'm just saying it like that to keep, not that we're working on not being separated anymore, but just so I can keep it clear. So I grew up with 2 sisters. I'm the middle child. And then when I turned 40, my dad starts having another family with his 4th wife, and a girl, and 2 boys. So my dad shares with me, well, the kids always thought you never liked them. So I point blank said, Dad, it's not that I didn't like them. It's because you tried to shove them in my face. The way you would act, Dad, you were shoving your children in my face, shoving a relationship. I don't work like that. You never allowed us to create a relationship of our own. And my dad heard me. My dad heard me for the first time. And he was willing to be present as we had this conversation. So in his presence, I knew he heard me. I knew he saw me. And I'm sharing this with you, not to give you a dish on my family and what's going on, but to open up the possibilities of how we may be holding ourselves hostage by our own stuff and not creating a more wider, more vast relationship with someone else. And it could be a parent. Now, by sharing that with my dad, and he finally saying, the kids thought you never liked them. Like, oh, wow. Okay. So that's something I can start working on. I can start working on that because I never knew that. If I choose to work on that, there's no pressure. right? If I choose to work on that, and I started thinking, because my dad actually has 4 girls now. My older sister that I grew up with, me, and my younger sister that I grew up with, and then my little baby sister who's the same age as my oldest granddaughter. Yeah, right? Which gets a little weird. I mean, it's not weird anymore, but when you stop and think about that, oh yeah, I got grandkids. I got a couple brothers and sisters same age as my grandkids. And I have a grandson and a brother with the same names. I mean, even it was messing with my own children's heads. It really was. And back then, I'm all about my children. So, and helping them to work through everything. So the reason I'm sharing this again is to dig down, to open up the landscape of where we keep ourselves stuck. So now that my dad shared with me, oh, and okay, so let's go back to the counselor. When the counselor told me, because I had to get counseling around this. I did not know how to handle that. My dad's now having a new family. I already felt abandoned and deserted by him before that, by both my parents, actually. But right now, we're just talking about my dad. And then he starts having a new family. And then for some reason, I feel responsible. Like I'm supposed to make everybody a big cohesive family. And my counselor, who is like a rock in my foundation, he just looked at me. He said, Tammy, this is not your responsibility. Let it go. This is your dad's responsibility. You have your own family to take care of. And with that permission, see, here's another caveat, everyone. Sometimes we do not even know we need permission for something in our life. And no clue until that moment when that counselor saw me, when that counselor was present with me and saw the pain and turmoil I was going through. It was like I had it and said, Tammy, this is not for you. Tammy gave me permission to let it go. I'm not responsible for how my dad is and how he acts. I'm not responsible. I did let it go. And I concentrated on me and my family and my grandkids that were starting to be born. But with that said, when we start looking at these things of where we have kept, now, had I never gone to counseling, if I never would have heard those words from somebody, I don't know where I would be. Probably crazier than, like really needing help. I really, truly feel, and this is actually a spinoff, I truly, truly feel, because sometimes I get into this little, like, man, I've invested so much finances into this work on me, into my own business, into doing this multidimensional healing work and learning more and more and more and more. But I know that I know, had I never gone down this path, because when I was 40, when I was 39, 40, I knew this one night when I came home and I walked through the house and I had no voice and I laid in bed that night, I could feel it. And I had no energy. I was plumb drained. And I knew if I fell asleep, I would not wake up the next morning. I could already feel my soul leaving my body. Now, the rest of that story is for a different time. As you can see, I made it through. But I knew that. Something in me knew that. So, why did I go there? That's a good question. Where was I now? That's another good question, right? But when we allow ourselves to be seen, when we allow ourselves to speak our truth, so much can shift and change. So much. So after my dad and I had this conversation in April, I started to think about this. 2 half brothers and a half sister. They grew up thinking I never liked them. Okay? I don't want to leave that kind of energy behind. So now I make a conscious effort. So I call my dad in June. I said, you know what? How about a father-daughter day with me and my baby girl sister, my baby sister, who I'm like, what about that, Dad? Let's start mending these. And I want to. There's a desire in me that wants to, because I didn't even know they liked me. Honestly, even like till about a year ago, I didn't even know they liked me. Okay? And that they even considered me a sister. Until one day I drove up to, because my youngest sister, she worked at a coffee shop, and I drove up to their to-go window, and because we have been estranged by circumstances. Not that we purposely, either one of us ever did that, but just circumstances. So I pull up to I place my order, and then I pull around to get this certain coffee. And I didn't even know she was working there. And she slides open the window, and she's like, oh, well, hi. And she turns around, and she's like, hey, everyone, it's my sister, Tammy. I'm like, holy cow. She was excited. I had no idea that was even inside of her. That made my heart sing. That made my heart sing. What makes your heart sing? What little thing right now can you think of that can make your heart sing? She was exclaiming with excitement and vibrancy. Hey, everyone, it's my Tammy. It's my sister Tammy. Like, holy cow. There's something there. I didn't even know it was. And we talked a little bit. We joked about our dad. And so, oh yeah, that was about a year ago. Okay, and now I remember what the joke about our dad was. Oh, that's too funny. So, so Emily and we hung out together with our dad yesterday all day. We went out of town, had lunch, went a little shopping, and it was so much fun. It was so nice to connect, to reconnect. So we're not only are we reconnecting on the outside, we're reconnecting on the inside to those lost soul pieces that have fragmented from us. Whew, do you feel that energy going down your back? Those parts of us desire to come back home, but it also desires to trust us. Now, just like an outside relationship desires to trust each other, so does the inside relationship. Do you follow me here? Yeah. Do you follow me? Do you see how this works together? Having that inside relationship that you're just yum, 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 yum with yourself also reflects in outside relationships. Or outside relationships can reflect to you what your inside relationships are. Sometimes we have to take a chance. Sometimes we have to take a chance. And by taking that chance, we make shift happen. We make shift happen by taking a chance. So, what is calling you to take a chance on something? What is calling you to take a chance on something? Maybe this right now, you hearing this, you being here, you listening to the replay is your permission, is your, would you say permission slip? Yes. Is your permission slip to take that chance, to make shift happen, to speak your truth. Take that chance to make shift happen, to take that chance, to see where it can lead you, to see where it can lead you, to see what can open up to you, to see what can open up to you. Something wants to open up to you. Yes. Mhm. So just take a deep breath and breathe that in. Yes, 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 yes. You know, sometimes I never really understand, or I don't know. I honestly don't know all the time where these lives will lead us. So, what right now is calling you to take a chance? Something is. I can feel that. I can feel that. I can feel that. What right now is calling you to take a chance, to open up to new possibilities, to speak your truth, to maybe work on an outside relationship to help you remember an inside relationship, or vice versa. Something within you wants you to look at it, wants you to know it, feel it, see it, hear it. Just like I happened to me years ago when I was had a I was had a trainer and working out in the gym, and at this one point, it was such a simple exercise. Just had two weights in my hands, straight down, and stepping up and down a step like a milk carton crate, but more sturdy. That's all. That's it, right? Sounds simple, right? Yet in that process, my right knee started to ache, like screaming from within, and it hurt. And it hurt so much I had to tell my my trainer. And by telling my trainer, he got a lower box, and it still hurt. And I didn't want to cry in front of, in a gym, in front of my trainer. Had to be tough, but I could feel the emotion. And while I was still doing the exercise, I just went and asked my knee, "What is it you want to say to me?" And I heard the words, "I do not feel supported. I do not feel supported." Now, had I not been for that moment, and I could feel the emotion coming up, and I, like the rest of, so later in the day, I went into that. Where do I not feel supported? So, what internally is asking and screaming for your attention? Now, I would have never known that had I never asked that pain in my knee that just wanted to be heard. And that's actually an emotion that was from earlier in my lifetime that I never paid attention to. I buried it. And that emotion went to my knee. Because lack of support, feeling lack of support, will be in your knees. That's usually where it shows up. So, darlings, again, what is calling you to take a chance on something? What's calling you to make shift happen? What is calling you right now to go deep within, to either work on a relationship within, so more fragmented soul pieces come back, so more fragmented soul pieces can come back to you, to your essence, to your soul, so your essence can shine even brighter. Is your relationship on the outside that needs a little makeshift happen that reflects the relationship within? Or is it vice versa? What is calling you right now to take a chance on something or maybe someone? Let's keep this conversation going inside our Facebook group. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. Facebook group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart. Because there is joy in there, no matter how heartbroken it is. I know there's joy in there. I was diagnosed, and I know heartbreak. Girl, do I know heartbreak. And I mean the most severe kind. Even to the point of over a decade ago being diagnosed with broken heart syndrome. I know heartbreak. And I also know how to heal it. I also know how to call those parts back to us. I know how to be with the love that I am and with the heartbreak at the same time. And it is a practice, and it works. I believe in you. Take a deep breath and hear these words. I believe in you. I believe in you. Take a deep breath. Somebody right now needs to hear that. Yeah, you got somebody, girl. You got somebody that believes in you. We may not know each other, but there is a I feel you, and I believe in you. You can do this. If I can do this, You can do this. What right now is calling to you to make shift happen in your life, to make a change? Do you need permission to go there? Permission granted. Don't let anything else hold you back. I'm here for you. If you need to reach out, you can send me a private Facebook message at Tammy Lee Shoemaker, or you can reach out to me at hello@theemeraldcompass.com. Again, that's hello@theemeraldcompass.com. Cheers, everyone. Much love. I believe in you.